Well, welcome to the 700 Club, taking it to the streets of Tehran. The Iranian people are calling for the Ayatollah to go.
President Trump is warning Iran's leaders not to kill the protesters, saying America is watching. Chris Mitchell reports on what could be a historic threat to the Islamic Republic of Iran.
From Tehran to Isfahan to Hamadan, Iranians defied their government and called for its end. In Tehran, crowds shouted for Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, to step down. This crowd chanted, "Dictator, Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, you are our ISIS." The defiance comes just days after Iran buried its #2 leader, Qasem Soleimani. Now his posters are being torn down in the streets and taken down from walls. At Amir Kabir University in Tehran, hundreds of students refused to step on the American and Israeli flags and shouted at those who did. President Trump tweeted directly to the leaders of Iran in both Farsi and English. To the leaders of Iran, do not kill your protesters. Thousands have already been killed or imprisoned by you, and the world is watching. More importantly, the USA is watching. Middle East expert Wally Ferris tweeted that Trump's message was the equivalent of President Ronald Reagan telling Gorbachev to tear down this wall. But the protesters risked their lives. These videos show some people have been shot during these protests. A few months ago, Iranian authorities killed 1,500 Iranians who protested.
The Iranian populace is very much dissatisfied with the Iranian regime, saying, how come you are ignoring the 1,500 that died, but yet you're mourning this individual, a person who probably had direct involvement in killing those 1,500.
The protests come after Iran finally admitted it accidentally shot down a Ukrainian airliner with 176 people on board. For days, Iranian officials denied any blame for the tragedy. In Washington, Democrats are scrambling to rein in President Trump with a war powers resolution and question the administration's intelligence that led to Soleimani's killing. National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien defended the president's decision.
And we had exquisite intelligence, and the intelligence showed that they were looking at U.S. facilities throughout the region.
While Washington debates the killing of Soleimani, tens of thousands of Iranians are still taking to the streets and risking their lives as they cry out for freedom. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Pray for Iran today. Pray for the people there. And it's the fastest growing Christian community in the world. These are our brothers. These are our sisters. And they have a very brutal regime. During the Green Revolution, it was just a few years ago, the Republican Guard opened fire on the protesters. They actually had snipers on rooftops to selectively kill, and they killed even teenage girls during this. So the world is watching and what will happen here. But look at the future. Wouldn't it be wonderful if they overthrow this dictatorship, they establish a democracy? Wouldn't that be absolutely wonderful? In other news, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is expected to send articles of impeachment to the Senate this week, ending a standoff that's lasted for weeks. Ephraim Graham has more from the CBN newsroom.
And Gordon, President Donald Trump and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi are already squaring off ahead of his Senate impeachment trial.
This president is impeached for life. There's nothing the Senate can do that can ever erase that.
But President Donald Trump's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, says the Senate can clear the president's name by simply dismissing the charges. The president agrees the case should be dismissed, but Speaker Pelosi calls that a cover-up. She's expected to send the articles to the Senate after a Tuesday meeting with her caucus. A series of tornadoes swept through the South, killing at least 12 people this weekend. The trail of damage stretches from Texas to South Carolina. In Columbia, South Carolina, school buses slammed into each other. Near Shreveport, Louisiana, storms ripped the roof off a middle school, and wind swept a trampoline from a Georgia backyard. Much of the East Coast saw record-high temperatures for this time of year, but today, temperatures in some areas of the Northeast dropped by more than 30 degrees. Turning now to the Philippines, where red-hot lava gushed from a volcano near the capital of Manila today. Thousands fled the area through heavy ash and frightening tremors. Clouds of ash spread more than 60 miles north to Manila, temporarily shutting down the airport. The government urging more than 500,000 people near the capital to evacuate. No reports of casualties or major damage so far. Operation Blessing is swinging into action. One team already distributed dust masks, food, and clothes to those taking refuge.